Thank you so much for joining the Sue Free Show, and I'm so happy to be with you today. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. It is. It is a beautiful day in the neighborhood, and I'm really happy to be with you. I got new ear things in my ears, and I'm seeing wires hanging out my neck, but that's okay. We'll just keep going forward. How is your day? If you did an assessment or you took your temperature today, how are you feeling? Are you feeling, let's see, let's give you a number. Would you say it's a 5? Would you say it's a 10? Where would you be as far as your attitude, your feelings? You know, this week this last weekend, I had a difficult weekend. And what made it difficult is because there was a lot of unknowns with relationships in my workplace. I was trying to figure out how people were feeling, what they were thinking, and what I could do if I had any way of making things better in the company. And I was trying to figure out how to do that. And I was losing sleep over it because there were things that were happening that some of them I have control over and some of them I don't. And so I was trying to figure out if I was doing things the right way, and I was beating myself up over certain things. And moving forward, I felt like, I can only do what I can do. And my job is to communicate the best I can as to why I think and do the things that I do that people might not understand from my point of view. So the best thing I can do is to give them insight on where I'm coming from and what I'm having to think about, because everybody's coming from their own visual, their own belief system, their own experience, right? And we put a belief system on that experience. So in doing so, I had to carve out or cut up into pieces each conversation, each relationship, and what it is that I had something to do with that I could have done maybe differently or better, because that is my way of learning for the future. Like, even if this one's not going to turn out maybe exactly like I would want, at least I could say that cost me money or cost me time or cost me something. But if I learn a lesson from it, then maybe it was worth going through the process. So with that all being said, the weekend was tough because I wasn't getting any sleep, because I kept thinking and thinking and thinking and thinking. And there was just an unsettling in my spirit. And so I brought it to the Lord, which we're called to do. And I said, God, you need to take this and just kind of search me and know me, oh God. If there's any evil way, pluck it out. If there's anything that you can shine your light on that could help me be better at being the CEO, owner, leader, person in charge of these situations, if there's anything I could do that would be better, communicated better, anything, please shine your light on that and let me know, so that I can be the best me I could be for you. So with that being said, a lot of things came to my mind. And in that, I got on my phone and I started communicating via email and text. And I didn't know when those emails or texts would be actually read, and I didn't know if I would get a response or not. But I at least showed my heart in a way where I feel that people could maybe feel a little bit about where it would be to be in the position I was in, so that, I might be rambling a little bit, but I'm hoping not, because I'm hoping that someone could go, oh yeah, okay, I've been there, I've done that, and yeah, I totally understand what you're saying, Sue. If you're tuning in right now, thank you so much for doing so. This is the Sue Free Show. Sue Free, spelled like fries, oneword.com. And I've been on this show for 15 years, and it's just blows my mind that I've been on this long, because when I was asked to do this, it was not my idea. They tell me it was God's idea. And so I said yes. And I said, what am I going to talk about? And here I am 15 years in, and I'm still not without things to talk about, because life happens. And with life happening, lessons are learned. Hopefully they're learned. I want to learn them the first time. I don't want to have to go through the same thing more than once. I would like to learn it so I can move forward and be better next time around. So is there something in your life that is not going the way you want? And once you've discovered that, because all of us have stuff that could be better. I mean, all of us could say, yeah, this part of my life could be probably better. And then you look at how you do things, your actions, your habits. And if you made a little tweak on one of those habits, if you just did a little something different, it could have big results. It could be the way you wake up in the morning. It could be, something you do as habit every day, making coffee, changing to mushroom coffee instead of regular coffee. It could be not going to 7-Eleven, or instead of going to Starbucks, going to 7-Eleven and saving money. If you're a senior citizen, ask for that senior citizen discount if you haven't been. It's okay. You can. It's all right. Get that dollar coffee at McDonald's or 7-Eleven or whatever. That would be okay. But this would be a little change that could change something else. And sometimes it's the smallest of change that could have the biggest results. So what is it that you want to see a difference in? Is it personal relationships? Is it your finances? Is it your spiritual walk? In all these areas, you could tweak what you're doing daily just a little bit, and you would find that the output of that could get very big. It's kind of like if you, for my guys, I tell them, it's like, you can sell pest control, and they're saying, oh, but it's not very much. And I'm like, okay, but if you add that up, it's just like if you pick up a dime every day that's on the ground, somebody just dropped it or just didn't need it, didn't want coins, and there's a dime on the road, and every day you find a dime. Okay, in 7 days you've got 70 cents, and if you do the math, figure it out, 70 cents a week times how many ever, does that not add up? It does. So even a dime, I'm not talking $30, I'm not talking $1 even, a dime, it adds up. And if you do that times 12 months or 52 weeks, what would that end up being? How much more would you have in a year's time than what you have right now if you just made that difference? You didn't just walk by coins, then when you see them on the ground, you pick them up. Simple thing. How you spend your money when you go out to dinner, do you always get a drink? It's those little things. Do you need a drink? They make the most profit on the drinks because it doesn't cost them any money at all. And you can ask for water, which is free, ask for a lemon, which is free, and you could have a better drink that's going to clean out your innards and save a little money on your drink. Now, the restaurants and fast food is not going to like that I'm saying this, but between you and me, I'm really for you more than the fast food and restaurant world. Water with lemon is a really good thing to drink every day, and usually you can get that for free. Pretty nice, huh? That's pretty good. All right, so I'm going to read from this book that I've read from before because it really is so good. It's An Enemy Called Average, and it's by John Mason. And on the back of this, it says, stand out, don't blend in. Do you want to blend in or do you want to stand out? I want to stand out, but not for maybe the reasons you think. I want to stand out because I want to stand for something. I want to stand out because I don't want to go with the flow if the flow isn't where I should be going. I'm not a sheep. I'm not a sheep. I don't want to be led in the wrong direction. So I have to have common sense. I have to think things through as to what would be best for me, my family, my employees. I have to think about all of that. I can't just think, oh, that feels good, so I'm going to do it. It's not that way. And maybe it is that way for you. Maybe you're really young and you're not really thinking about your future. But I'll tell you what, when you become an adult and you have emotional maturity and you're thinking about your finances and how you can best, save for the future, it doesn't mean do without forever. It just means, do you really need that right now? Is that something you really have to have? Or is this something you could do without at the moment? And sometimes delayed gratification is really an important thing. So every successful person I know, and this is true for me too, is very good at doing the small things well. When Jesus told the parable of the talents, he referred to a servant who had multiplied his talents. He referred to a servant who had multiplied his master's money. The master responded to the servant, "Well done, good and faithful servant. You have been fruitful and faithful over a few things. I will make you ruler over many things. Enter into the joy of your Lord." See, there's such a lesson in just that, okay? And I will tell you how I use this at Ecola, is that when someone, our drivers, okay, our service technicians that go to your house and take care of your termites or your pests or your rodents, they are given a truck to use, and they are to maintain that truck. They do truck inspections every Friday, and they need to do oil changes in the right amount of time after a certain amount of mileage. They need to write up a PO if there's something needed, like wiper blades, or they need new tires or anything like that. They're responsible to make sure that truck looks good, runs well, and is in good working order from start to finish. And look good means, everything's in its place. You don't have papers falling out when you open the door, all of those things. And what I tell people is that we buy these trucks and we use them for a certain amount of time. When they get to retirement time is when we will send something out and say we have these trucks available. We give the person that's been driving that truck, that was assigned to the truck, the first op to buy that truck at a discount, because we feel like if they take care of what they were given, then they have earned the right to have something more. So when we see people take care of what they've been given, that's when we say, you know what, this person deserves a new vehicle. Why? Because he maintains the current one, he takes care of what he has, so he deserves more. That is a biblical principle that I just read, and it's what God is saying, is that he gives us things, and he watches how we handle it. He gives us money. He gives us opportunities. And he watches what we do. Do we just walk right by the opportunity? Do we sleep in and not get up and meet that opportunity face to face? These are the things that God watches if you're a believer. You probably already know this, but if you're not a believer, all I can say is that God is real to me, and he is who I am, and I don't really want to offend anybody, but like I said, I'm not a sheep, and I am going to be called to not be average. I am not your average bear. I don't want to be average. And what God is working through me is because he believes in me. He created me for a specific purpose, just as he created you for a specific purpose. You have a purpose on this earth, and sometimes people get up and go to bed and just don't realize how important their life is. And I stay there with a breath because it might be you. And maybe the Lord's speaking to you right now to say, maybe it's time to change that stinking thinking. Maybe it's time to say, you know what, I was born for a reason. And I might not know what that reason is, but I am going to do what I can to help as many people as I can, and to be a servant and a good steward with what I have. And when you do that, you'd be amazing. The Lord spoke to me, not audibly. People always say, what do you mean he spoke to you? It's kind of just in my mind. It's like I'm praying or I'm thinking, and all of a sudden I get this thought. And I just believe that God put that thought in my mind, and that's the way he speaks to me. I'm just explaining it the only way I know how. And he said, out of obedience comes blessing. Out of obedience comes blessing. As a parent, I can tell you that when my children were obedient, it blessed me. And when I got blessed by their obedience, I wanted to bless them even more. And I think God is the same as that. He's unconditionally loving. He loves us no matter what. But he is blessed. He is so grateful, and I can just see his smile right now, just smiling down on those that are walking with him, that are wanting to do his will, that are being obedient to what he tells us to do, and that he wants to bring blessing on us. He wants us to have favor. And he wants that for you. And if you're not a believer, then that's maybe your first step. It's everything big starts with something little. It could be a decision. It could be a decision for you right now, right here, right now, that you're saying, you know what, I've been struggling through this life so long, and I don't know where I'm going to go with it when I die. I don't know what's going to happen after I die. I don't know if God is real, but if he is, maybe I want to be part of that family. Maybe I want to be part of that. Maybe that's you. All you have to do is ask him. Ask and you shall receive. Seek and you shall find. Knock and the door will be opened to you. And maybe you're needing so desperately right now a door to be opened. Maybe that's where you're at. You need a door to open. Maybe there's doors that have shut. Maybe it's a good reason they shut. And you just don't know that yet. But for every door that shuts, there's another way. There's a window that opens, another door that will open. And it's probably a bigger and a better opportunity than what you have that the door is shut on you with. All right. So moving on this book. On another occasion, God asked the prophet, "For who has despised the day of small things? There is power in taking small steps." Small steps. You know, I was talking a couple weeks ago about a week that I took in Texas. And it was a self-discovery, leadership, academy kind of thing that teaches us how to be the best form of us that we can be and to press the envelope. And one of the things that they had us do, believe it or not, was to climb a telephone pole. We did have a strap on us and everything, but they wanted us to climb all the way and stand on the top of this pole that was like waving back and forth. And I'm up there, and I'm like, okay, and then we're supposed to stand on it, and then we're supposed to jump off of it and have trust and faith in our team that's holding the rope down at the ground to keep us from splatting and hitting the ground. And so, that was a big deal. But what they kept chanting as everybody was going up this pole, because everybody made it to a certain point, some made it all the way, jumped off, grabbed the incentive of this paper $100 bill that was clipped kind of far away. You had to really jump. You had to get some air, and you had to jump in order to get that dollar. And I think about 3 people actually made that happen. I didn't get there, and I want to do it again so bad so that I can say I did that. But what was being chanted every step of the way was, one more step, one more step. And I can remember way back when I was young and not very smart. I had a friend who said, let's walk to the bottom of the Grand Canyon. Well, I had never been to the Grand Canyon, and we knew we had to have certain hiking shoes and that we had to wear socks because we'd get blisters and, yada, yada. Well, I did it. I walked to the bottom, but we didn't have any sleeping bags. We didn't have any warm clothes. There was water down at the bottom. It was amazing down there. I would have loved if we would have planned a little better. Another story, another lesson for another day. But if we would have planned better, I would have liked to have spent the night down there and enjoyed, the journey a little more. But we went all the way down, and luckily we had a couple of bottles of water on us, and that's about all we had. And then this person, my friend, says, we got to walk back up because it's going to be way too cold down here and we don't have warm clothes. And so we have to go back up. I have to tell you that I have never pushed my body harder or more than that walk up the Grand Canyon. We went down, it was much easier. Coming back up, it was a lot more difficult, as you can catch my drift. Anyway, I was young. I was in shape, and all I remember in my mind is that I knew I looked up, and it was just seemed like forever up. And I'm like, okay, I can't look forever up. It's just overwhelming and defeating. So what I need to do is just look at the ground that I'm walking up, and I just have to keep telling myself, just one more step. One more step. And I was sweating. It was hot. My feet had blisters. My body was so tired. I have never been so tired in all my life. Now, I was a gymnast. I was dancing. I was fit. But still extreme pressure here on my body. And all I could do was one more step. One more step. And everything big starts with something little. One more step. Daniel, he works with me, and I'm so appreciative of him. And he says, Sue, when things get tough for me, I keep thinking of something that you say. And I'm like, what is that? And he says, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. Here's a big elephant, but we eat it one bite, a very something little, We eat it one bite at a time. You might be going through something really, really horrific. You might be going through something that just seems so overwhelmingly big, way bigger than you could ever think. And you're thinking, how, God, am I going to get through this? What do I do? How am I going to do it? I know, I've been there. One more step. Do what you can each moment. Do what you can every day to eat that elephant one bite at a time. That is the power of taking small steps. Many people aren't moving with God today simply because they were not willing to take the small steps He placed before them. You should leap at the opportunity, no matter how small, to move in the direction the Lord calls you. If you're called to be a youth pastor and are merely sitting at home waiting for an invitation from a large church, it will never come. You need to find the first young person you can, put your arm around him or her, and begin to minister. That's where you start, one small step. Don't be afraid to take small steps. The Bible promises us that if we are faithful in small matters, one day we will be big rulers over many larger things. And that is so true. I've seen it over and over again with the people that work with us. They don't know what we're doing, they don't know anything about this, or they know a little bit, and then they stay with us, and they work with us, and they grow, and now they're getting promoted to the next level and the next level. And it's exciting for me to see these people grow into what they can be. And it's not only at the workplace, but it's them as an individual, seeing that their character is being built, that they're becoming more of a mature, emotionally stable person. They're thinking before they're speaking. They're thinking about other people's feelings before they just blurt out something and lack filters. They are looking at ways of where they can take control of things within their lives that can help not only them, but those around them. At this event we went to, we were taught about win-wins, and I thought I was a really good win-win negotiator. I'm always looking for how can we both win here. And I went there and I felt that I actually got a couple aha moments to where I was thinking about what was needed right now for maybe this individual or that, but not how I could mend these two and cause the win-win for both, when I wasn't even in the middle of it. So that was a real eye-opener for me, is looking for the win-win. And it doesn't have to be them or they or competition between two. It could be, how can we both win? Collaborate. Let's work together to make it for the common good of everyone concerned. And this is something that I learned at this event I went to. So we will be back with more of the Sue Fries Show. And I'm hoping you connect with me by going to Sue Fries, spelled like fries, one word.com, and email me and talk to me and tell me what's going on in your life, because I really want to know. Would you do that? Please, please, please. I would love for that to happen. So we will be back with more of the Sue Fries Show right after this brief break.
When I was 2 years old, I had a life-threatening asthma attack.
And as a mom, I was worried. It was a big reason for pioneering our eco-friendly pest and termite treatments. With our dynamic selection of non-chemical and alternative treatments, we achieve effective results that fit the concerns for the health of your families, children, pets, and the environment.
From San Diego to San Luis Obispo, when you have a pest problem, call today. E-Cola, powerful termite and pest control.
As gentle as a butterfly. Thank you so much, E-Cola Termite and Pest Control, for sponsoring this show. And if you think that your company might want to sponsor this show, I want to talk to you. Because it doesn't matter if you're just in San Diego. We go from San Diego to San Luis Obispo. The show goes the same places that E-Cola goes, but with the internet, the Sue Fries Show goes everywhere, and that's wonderful. I have people in Paris listening to me, and I just think it's amazing. Anyway, so if you think you'd like to sponsor the show, we'd love to talk to you. Go to Sue Fries, spelled like fries, one word.com, and connect with me there, and then I can explain to you the details. And let's say you put your toe in the water and you test it out with us, and then you find out that it is good and you would do well by advertising on this show. Then what I would do is connect you to the advertising rep, and we could just figure out how have it go further for you so that you can build your business and grow, because I would love to be a part of it and I would love to see that happen with you. So get in contact with me, please. And if you're just somebody that is listening, you just found the Sue Fries Show and you want to tell me what's going on in your life or how you need prayer or resources, I don't have all the answers. I'm not even going to pretend to have all the answers, but I will tell you that I do have friends, I have resources, and if I can help you in any way, I would want to. That's my heart. So in part 1 of this part 2 show, I was talking about everything big starts with something little. And a lot of us are just going through life-changing things right now. It's just, there's so much in economy that's changing, so much in our political world that's changing, so much going on that it's kind of, we can rediscover ourselves on how we fit into this world that we're in. Do we want to continue living in the state we're in? Do we want to move out of state? What do we want to do and why? Those are questions that we need. Well, we don't need to, but if you want to assess it, it's a good idea to ask those questions. And if you're not alone and you have others, then it would be good to have that conversation amongst those that you would want to go with you, or maybe some that you want to leave behind. Either way, it's good. Anyway, so on part 1, we were talking about everything big starts with something little. And a lot of things do. I talked about habits, how habits we create or that we're doing, how they can either be for positive or for negative. And if they're negative, then obviously we want to exchange those bad habits for something that could be good or better. And if they're good and they're working for us, then obviously keep doing it. And maybe we could enhance it. Maybe we could do things even a little different. So in part 1, we were talking about that if you want to be a minister or a pastor or something, that you don't sit at home and wait for the phone to ring from a big church to take you on. You start small, right? Let's just take baby steps. Let's take baby steps to eat this big elephant. And the way you would do that is just practice. Practice. So in ministry, you'd find a youth that if you wanted to be a pastor for youth, you would find a youth and just start ministering to that person. And that person will probably go into another person and it'll just build. And then in timing and with the proper preparation, that's another thing God told me a while ago, is be prepared. And I woke up from a dream and I heard that in my head, be prepared. And I'm like, be prepared for what? Be prepared. Just be prepared. So in anything and everything we do, in the Bible it talks about be prepared with the word. Like, why do you believe? Be prepared to be able to explain why you believe. Why do you forgive? Be prepared to tell why you forgive. Grace, mercy, kind, joy, all those things. Be prepared. So the way we prepare for something that we're wanting is get some experience. I wasn't prepared to be a radio show host when they asked me to be a radio show host. But then when I started thinking about my background, that I was a dancer, I won a car on American Bandstand way back when, and then I got a commercial agent who found me because of the dancing, and they had a commercial, they needed a dancer, so I got hired to do this Molson Ale commercial in Canada. And my dance partner and I both got on it, and he twirled me around, dipped me back. I grabbed a beer bottle, didn't spill any of it, and got up. And that commercial played for a long time. But I learned because the agent said read for me, so she gave me a script and she said read, and I'm like, okay. So I read the book. Every successful person I know is very good at doing that. No. Read it like you mean it. Read it like, And so with training, I learned how to read scripts. I learned how to read commercial scripts by doing it. I've learned along the way, God's been teaching me for such a time as this, that now I'm a radio show host for 15 years now, and I wasn't sure what I was going to talk about, and I wasn't sure, anything. I didn't know. I'm like, I run a termite pest control company. What do I know about being on a radio show? And here I am on a radio show. And the purpose of being on this show is for the pursuit of passion, purpose, and connection. That was what I came up with, because it's kind of who I am. It's what God has put inside of me, is that I'm always in the pursuit of passion, purpose, and connection with people. And having my purpose is to connect people and helping people find their purpose. And just helping people with life lessons on lessons I've learned, that I've experienced, that I have empathy and compassion for, and that I want to help people using God's words to guide and hopefully encourage and inspire. And so that's kind of my purpose, is to do those things. And nothing brings me more joy than to see the fruit of the labor of the things that I just mentioned. So getting back to this book, it says, many times the impossible is simply the unacted upon small opportunities. That is so true. You know, when someone says, oh, do you want to do this? And I'm like, okay, do you want to do the flag salute? Do you want to do the prayer? Okay, these are ways that I can practice and be used. And they're small. I mean, what is that, a minute? It's not an hour. It's a minute. But it's on stage, it's in front of people. So it was kind of getting introduced to the fact that people's eyes might be looking at me and how scary that can be, but yet it became not so scary with time because of practice. So I remember a time in my life when I was frozen with fear over what God had called me to do. It seemed so huge, a task that I was unable to bring myself to face it. A friend came to me and spoke 2 words that broke that paralysis in my life. He said, do something, and walked out my house. That day I did something. My first small step started momentum in my life, and I began to run toward the vision God had for me. Those 2 words were a turning point in my life. If you're at a point of paralysis in your life because of what God wants you to do, my word for you today is do something. I would add to that, do something positive. Don't worry about the goal. Just take the steps that take you past the starting point. Soon you'll get to a point of no return. As you climb higher, you'll be able to see much farther. We should all learn to grow wherever we're planted. I love that. I just mentioned this recently. I had a young lady sitting next to me. She's spirit-filled, she's a strong Christian, and she's young, got her whole life ahead of her. And she said to me, tell me about your life. I mean, are you happy where you are? Are you, would you change anything? Those are kind of interesting, deep, digging questions. And I said, you know what? I am happy with my life. I'm happy where I am. I'm happy where God is in me, although I still want more of Him always. I want to learn more. But I said, I was in the fashion industry. I was a dancer, fashion industry, and now I'm in the bug business. Okay, I would not have guessed that in a million years that I would be in the bug business. But I decided to bloom where I was planted. And I was going to learn how to be the best at what I have been put in to do. So I was in the pest control business, and I was going to learn how to be the best I could be in that business. And then I had an opportunity after 20 years working with my now not husband, and working with him. I was in operations. I learned how to, quite a few of the tasks and things that needed to get done in the business, I learned how through that time. And then I got the opportunity, I was given the opportunity, thank you God, to purchase Ecola, and that was in the year 2000, so quite a while ago. And from there, and all of that information and preparation and learning that I got from working there, I brought over to the new company and expounded upon it. And little by little, I learned more and more, and I asked lots of questions, and I learned more and more and more. And, the School of Hard Knocks, I say, is my school, okay? I have a 2-year degree. I went to the Fashion Institute of Design and Merchandising, and now I have 7 offices, and I've got 74 to 80 employees, and I'm amazed. And then I'm sitting here in front of you, and I'm an author of a couple of books, and I'm thinking, I didn't make this happen. This is not me making this happen. It's God's work in me. It's Him in me that created these steps that I took that I didn't even know. I didn't know when I was 16, 18, 20 I was going to write a book. I had no idea I was going to write a book. I had no idea I was going to own a business. I had no idea I was going to be on the radio. But God has plans for me. God has plans for you. And it's whether you take and do something is whether you're going to make it and do what God has intended for you to do. So if you don't hear anything else, I want you to be passionate. You have that fire inside of you, and it might have been snuffed out because you need to make money, and you're going to make money no matter how you can make money. But there's still this passion inside of you that God put there. You have gifts inside of you that are your strengths. You have your strengths that are there, and it's whether you lean on those or not. But if you asked yourself what makes you the most happy doing something, having a purpose and a passion that has a fire in you, that is what keeps you going when times get really tough. So bloom where you're planted. Learn from every experience. Life is a journey. It's not everything has to be handled right here, right now. I had to learn that the hard way. I went through a lot of anxiousness, a lot of high anxiety. And now it's like, okay, I know that I've got issues, but I can't get all strung out. I can't get all worked up because it doesn't help. It doesn't help my brain think through the process of how I can do what I can do, and I need to know what it is I have control over and what I don't. Those are very important, right? You can get all worked up for things that you have no power over. You have no power over certain things, but yet we get worked up over them. And that doesn't do anything for anybody. It really doesn't. So when I put my trust and my faith in my Heavenly Father and I say, God, please guide me in this because I really don't know what to do. I have no idea what to do in this situation. Please guide me, show me, help me, bring the right people into my life. If it's a phone call, a magazine, and I see an article and I'm going, oh my gosh, there it is right there. Ding, ding. I have to be focused. I have to be laser focused, and I have to, stay on what God wants. As you begin, don't be afraid. Fear of becoming a has-been keeps some people from becoming anything. Are you fear of failure? Are you fear of not measuring up? Because sometimes that'll hinder you from moving forward in any direction. It's kind of like you're stifled, you're stuck. And we don't want to be there. We got to take a step. Take a step. Get out of bed. Take a shower. Move. Nothing happens without motion. I'm a dancer. And I can tell you that nothing happens without motion. But do you know breathing is even a motion? But taking that first step. Please take that first step. Every great idea is impossible from where you are starting today. But little steps add up, and they add up rapidly. Most people don't succeed because they are too afraid to even try. Please don't hinder what God has inside of you because you're afraid. The acronym for fear is false evidence appearing real. It's false evidence appearing real. Just thrive through it. Thrust through it. I was scared to climb up that pole that I talked about, the telephone pole. It was wavering back and forth. But you know what? I did it. I did it. And you can do it too. You can do it too. They don't begin due to the fear of failure. Many times the final goal seems so unreachable that we don't even make an effort. But once you've made your decision and boldly, be bold, taken a step forward, you're more than halfway there. God will begin with you today, no matter what your circumstances. I hope that's encouraging, inspiring. I hope you take that first step. If you need to think about, okay, God, what is it you want me to do? What is it I'm passionate about? What am I good at? And write those things down. Then take another piece of paper and write all the things you're thankful for. And when you do that, you will see an attitude switch, an attitude regrouping in your brain. And that's a good thing. I could start another topic, and I can, and I think I will. A chip on the shoulder weighs a ton. Do you know anybody that comes into the room that you can tell that they're just heavy, that they've got a chip on their shoulder? They don't smile. They just are struggling or protecting. They have that protective layer up, and it's just hard to penetrate somebody that is protecting themselves so much that they're not even able to receive what you have to offer. I have people that are around that are like that, and I just really so badly want to just shake them and say something that would shake them up, just something that would make them go, oh yeah, maybe that would be good. Maybe my life would be better if I would just get this chip off my shoulder. When faced with the need to forgive and forget, never make the excuse, but no one knows what that person did to me. That may be true, but do you know what unforgiveness will do to you? What really matters is what happens in us, not to us. Forgiveness is essential for good human relationships. We can't give a hug with our arms folded. That's a good analogy and a good visual, isn't it? And it's true, isn't it? And unforgiveness is like folding your arms. It's like you're not allowing vulnerability. You're not allowing transparency. You're not allowing this ball and chain that's stuck to you to be released so you can be freed to receive and accept love and receive anything else that somebody might want to offer you. It hinders you for opportunities that could be coming your way because somebody's afraid to get near you because you have this protective layer on you for fear of being hurt. Our forgiveness of others assures us of God's forgiveness of us. He says, in the measure we forgive, we too shall be forgiven. It's in the Bible. And I thought, wow, isn't that amazing? If you forgive other people when they sin against you, your Heavenly Father will also forgive you. But if you do not forgive others their sins, your Father will not forgive your sins. How many of you have sinned in their lifetime? Ooh, everybody should raise their hand because everybody has. This is Matthew 6:14-15. The weight of unforgiveness greatly drags us down. It's a tremendous load to carry in the race we're called to run. Unforgiveness leads to bitterness, which is a deadly misuse of energy. I'm really an energy person. I have a lot of it, and I don't like it to be stifled. So I won't hang around people too long that are going to snuff me out, that are going to deplete my energy, because I need my energy. It is my power. And if I don't have it, it's hard for me to, if we're not filled up, it's hard for us to overflow and give to others. And so I always look at that as, like the cup overflowing. And that in order for me to be whole and to be able to give, I have to overflow, which means I have to be fed, I have to be fueled. And it's true with everybody. So some people are depleting and some people are life-giving. And which are you? And who do you want to hang out with? Pondering a negative situation and plotting how to get even divert a great amount of brain power away from productive thinking. If we keep burning bridges, we'll become isolated and alone, and we'll deal with strangers and enemies the rest of our lives. Let's build bridges, not burn them. It's interesting that they use bridge. That's really good. Vengeance is a poor traveling companion. Every Christian is called to a life of reconciliation, 2 Corinthians 5:18. Trying to get even wastes time and results in unhappiness. Working with churches throughout America, I have found unforgiveness in every stagnating situation. Did you hear that? Every stagnating situation. That means when a church isn't growing, it's not thriving, it's because there's unforgiveness in that church. They're not united. And conversely, I have found that growing churches talk about future progress, not past problems. Now, I will say that past problems have a place because we learn from them, but then we move on. And what didn't work before, okay, so we put that away, and now we're going to deal with that problem differently and healthier and better. Same with work, right? There's things in work we try and they just don't work out. So then we say, okay, learn that lesson, and maybe it's timing, maybe it's this, maybe it's that. Sometimes when people come in and say, oh, we tried that 10, 15 years ago. Okay, but maybe the timing was wrong, and that's true. It could be that it was timing was wrong. And maybe now it would work. I don't know. But let's evaluate everything that went right and everything that went wrong in that situation and discover whether if this timing would be right now to try it again. And that's how I would address that situation. Never underestimate the power of forgiveness to free you, not me, but you, not the perpetrator, not the trespasser, to free you to fulfill your calling. Did you hear that? I don't know how else and how clearer to be, but this is so true. And I know firsthand that I had a lot of things that I needed to forgive others for, things that happened to my childhood that I've shared in the past. And they're things I only talk about because I feel other people have had similar situations, and they might be held to a secret. They might be held to unforgiveness, to where they're bitter, and they just can't receive all that God has for them because they're held to this, well, they don't deserve forgiveness. No, they don't. They probably don't deserve. Neither do you. but God forgives us anyway. And He's calling us to forgive others. In order for Him to forgive us, we have to forgive others. Whew, that's big. Forgiveness is the one power you have over a person who slanders or criticizes or hurts you, even hurts you. The farther you walk in forgiveness, the farther you walk in forgiveness, the greater the distance you put between yourself and the negative situation. Forgiveness gives you a spring in your spiritual walk and a second wind in the race of life. That's so big. You know, if you don't get anything else out of this, I would say forgiveness is something that you need to look into. Right now, because of this week I went to, I had to make a decision to contact two people that I have, like, I don't know, just something unsettled between us. It's nothing big, but it's unsettled. And so I've made one of the phone calls, and it turned out really well. And I texted the person. I said, can I make an appointment? I need to talk with you. If you're up for it, I would really like to have a conversation with you. If you can spare me 30 minutes, it might be less. But if you can spare me 30 minutes, I'd really appreciate it. And without hesitation, there was a text back saying, sure, when, and we made the time, and it was this last weekend, and I took the time to talk to this person. And it was really good. I think we both got an understanding on where we came from and what was maybe misunderstood. And maybe you have somebody that you need to make a phone call. Maybe it's a letter. Maybe it's a phone call. It's not a text. This is not a text situation. You can schedule the appointment through text, but I highly recommend, because of voice, because of size, because of all of the things that you can't do on a text, I think it's really important to have a phone call, or even person to person if it's a safe situation. I recommend it highly. I think it could be life-changing for you to just have the resolution of that. So I'm recommending you do it. If you have a secret you've been holding on to for a very long time, I recommend that you get that secret out. Find a safe place, find a safe person, but relieve this secret from not being haunting you anymore, no darkness anymore. Relieve it. Okay, so that's my show for today. Be a blessing to someone each and every day. God bless you, and let me know about that phone call you make. Bye for now.